It's been 4 weeks since I've been working from home due to the shelter in place uh, as a result of the pandemic. And like probably most of us, I'm feeling a full range of emotion, noticing the isolation and the effect it's having on me, um, a sense of feeling disoriented and exhausted and confused and sad and angry. Um, but I've been noticing lately, probably within the past week, that there are these other feelings that I haven't been able to really put my finger on. When I realized that it's been almost 6 months since I had a 14-hour surgery with heated intraperitoneal chemotherapy for recurrent ovarian cancer. And the feelings I'm having that I was confused by until recently are are really signs of post-traumatic stress, and that's because being at home and isolating reminds me of being at home and isolating as part of recovering from that surgery. And it is so familiar to me that I sometimes feel as if I'm right back to that time 6 months ago and the weeks that followed. So much so that I notice classic signs of fight or flight and like increased heart rate and trouble sleeping and trouble breathing, which isn't great around the COVID-19 symptoms. And it reminded me that I have to stop and pay attention to what's really going on. And I wanted to share that with you because I find myself returning to some of the tools that I used then that I am now using with myself and the clients I counsel. I pulled out a journal that I had used to help me get my thoughts out of my head and look at what I was feeling to make sense of it. And so I thought I would read a little bit of that to you. And it's so primal. I mean, there's nothing here that is super insightful, but this is what I'm doing now with helping myself get through this as well as clients. My first entry was that surgery was October 24th. Surgery was October 24th, 2019. And after that, I wrote, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And then the days that followed, I repeated some phrases like trust the process, practice patience, have faith, be present, focus on healing, let go of fear, love myself, and respect my body. And then when I was really in dark places and felt like I wasn't moving off the mark, I wasn't getting any better because healing is such a roller coaster, I would jot down my wins, my wins for the day and the struggles. So on November 23rd, I wrote today's wins. I have more energy. I ate a little more consistently. I felt loved. And the struggles on November 23rd was all around the emotional roller coaster and growing much less tolerant of the amount of pain I was in. The very next day, I wrote to myself to remember to look for joy in the really simple things, like holding my cat, cuddling with my dogs, and the fact that I took the longest walk I'd ever tried to take, which, trust me, was out the door and just to the end of the driveway. But I was practicing that sense of looking for those markers to be appreciative of. The very next day in the journal, same thing. practice patience with the process, let go of the fear of the unknown, and find joy in the simple things. And then on the 26th of November, I wrote, assume the best, not the worst. The 29th of November, I wrote, try to live in this moment, enjoy the simple things. And then on the 30th of November, I wrote, today marks a turn in my recovery. And I drew a heart. And I talked a little bit about what that meant. What was I noticing? That I could eat more, that I was in less pain, that my body was functioning. And those markers reminded me that I was moving through the process. So now we're in a chapter in our history that we've never been in as a society, and we're asked to interrupt our lives. People often say, I hear this phrase all the time, it feels like Groundhog Day, like nothing's changing. What about this uncertainty? How can I find hope in knowing when this is going to be over? And that's exactly how I felt back then. And what helped me get through that was not thinking about the future and coming, because all that did was create more anxiety. I couldn't answer those questions. I didn't know when I was going to feel better. I didn't know if I was going to feel better. As a matter of fact, when I let fear really talk to me, it was, I'm not going to feel better. So being able to really break down the simplest experiences to a point where you can find joy in them and gratitude in them is what I'm going to suggest that we all do as part of getting through this right now. Anytime the mind starts to wander off in figuring out what the future holds and the need to know, because right now we don't know, all that does is feed anxiety. So I'm having some PTSD right now because this feels really familiar. And I went back to the journal and I looked at the things I wrote back then to remind me what's important, and now to remind me, very similar fashion, that the simplest things is all I know and all I witness and all I feel, and that will ground me.